You're listening to That Great Mank Pod, Greater Manchester's community podcast. Top one, our kid.
Hi and welcome to the 6th of our Carling sessions supported by the Carling Made Local Fund. We'll be showcasing some of the amazing creative talent across our Greater Manchester that would normally be entertaining you and your local, helping them build their audience back and hopefully persuading you to grab a ticket for when they're back performing live. In this episode, Damian and I chat with Reece Williams, poet, performer and, in our humble opinion, a really inspiring bloke. We chat a lot about creativity in this, equal access to the arts, and we're all treated to a few exclusives from Reece, a cheeky peek at some of the amazing pieces that will be in his first book, which hopefully will be out next year. Really enjoyed this, sure you will too. Oh, and as the Carling sessions are supported by the Carling Made Local Fund, just a reminder to always drink sensibly.
My name is Reece Williams. I'm from Manchester, proud Mancunian. I'm a poet. I am a producer, so I produce events and I work with the community, hopefully to inspire them to access opportunities that maybe aren't open for them.
Hi, Reece.
How's it going, Paul? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. There's the man.
How's it going?
Man, you all right?
Oh, well, thanks. All good my end. Yeah, can't complain.
Oh, but you can.
I can, but I won't.
Yeah, I think we're all doing our fair share of whinging, aren't we, Reece?
Yeah, but we're almost at the end, mate. We're almost at, well, I'd like to think so anyway.
You know what, mate?
Well, you know what, of sorts. So you're shaking your head. I'll say we're not at the end, but we're moving forward. We're moving forward.
Mate, I'm 50. I'm nearer the end than you. This is lovely to meet you. Anyway, finally, by the way, I think we've caught up a few times over social.
Yeah,
yeah, it's lovely to meet you. And this is Damian.
Hey, mate. Yeah, all right. I think you know some of my family, actually, Reece.
Do I?
Yeah, do you know Blue?
Of course, yeah, Blue. Of course I do, yeah, Blue grew up with my mum.
Blue's my cousin.
Ah, very small world. So, yeah, Blue grew up with my mum and dad. So, yeah.
Right.
Very small world.
No, I've heard her mention you before when we've been doing stuff because I helped her with Nello James.
Yes, yeah.
So I was heavily involved in the Nello James. It's a shame what's happened to that, to lose any community resource, especially one that was so important to that local community. Do you know what I mean?
Big thing, isn't it? It's a big thing.
It's erasing the folklore and the history, Reece. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's when you actually hear the story of that being actually dedicated to the local community and things like that, to lose it is, it disgusts me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Won't be the last one to go either, though.
No, unfortunately, that's gentrification. Though, unfortunately, that's people think that it's just areas that get gentrified. It's actually buildings. It's culture that gets gentrified. Unfortunately,
mate, we've seen it over the. I've been involved in community sector for a long time, and I did a lot of work around Miles Platting, and I'm from Clayton. Paul's from Moston.
Yeah.
So we've seen our fair share of gentrification and erasing our social history and narrative and stuff. It's renaming shit, man. You know what I mean? It's Clayton, not East Manchester.
Exactly. Just put the word new in front of Moston. You've got a totally new area, haven't you? You've got a...
Well, listen, you'll never see me react quicker when someone calls Ancoats. What is it they call it now?
Is it called the Green Quarter now?
New Islington.
New Islington, sorry, yeah.
New Islington, and it's like, no, it's not, it's Ancoats. It's Ancoats.
My granddad grew up in Ancoats, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so my relatives did, mate.
No,
I mean, to be honest,
he grew up in New Islington.
New Islington. If they were around,
they wouldn't have let him in. They wouldn't have got into New Islington. I'll tell you that now, man.
Yeah, well, in the old days, you would have got in, you wouldn't have got out.
This is it.
Yeah,
this is it.
So, how things been for you, mate?
Yeah. Oh well, just keeping busy with work and stuff like that, and hopefully looking forward to at least being able to see people and mix and get out a little bit. But that aside, all well, my end, taking the opportunity to be as creative as possible and get on with it, really. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it, isn't it, mate? I mean, I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves during the lockdown. It's like, well, should it be creative? Shouldn't it be creative? Well, just do what you want to do what you feel.
It comes naturally, yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Because don't force it,
That's it.
But, how have you been in terms of working wise? Because I know, I mean, you with the elders, you do a lot. You do more than us. and we do loads.
So work-wise, it's strange. So my two jobs. So I work for Manchester City of Literature.
Right.
And that's really, so I'm the community engagement manager there. And what's really interesting is I'd only been in position for 5 days when we went into lockdown.
Oh, straight on furlough.
So no, not furlough. It wasn't furlough. It wasn't furlough. It was literally work from home. You know what I mean? We still been working all the way through.
Same as us, mate.
Yeah, so it's crazy to have, worked with my colleagues for 5 days, and the rest of the time I've only seen them through a computer screen. And then again, very similar with 42nd Street. So we again have worked all the way through, just working remotely. But yeah, we adapt, don't we? Because we have to.
Yeah, I love 42nd Street.
Yeah,
yeah, I love what they do. And you're also doing stuff with. What's the situation at Contact then? Are you one of the trustees? Are you one of the trustees now?
I'm a former trustee. Yes, I'm a former trustee. So I was a trustee for 10 years. So I've just left. Wow. Just stepped down from the board in November last year. So I was on the board for 10 years. I was chair of the resources committee, which is everything to do with the money, the people, and the building. So the really
easy job,
the easy work, the small stuff, But I'm now on the board at Apples and Snakes as well, which is a London-based poetry and education organisation. Yeah.
Oh, can you tell us a little bit about that then?
Yeah. So Apples and Snakes, they're an organisation that's really dedicated to a number of things, but it's about advancing poetry as an art form. Yeah. And they do that through a number of programs, number of innovations. They work with schools, they work with young people up and down the country. And they just really champion that voice of poetry, and particularly where young people are concerned, they've got a real focus on empowering the next generation of poets and spoken word artists. So yeah.
Well, do they have any kind of? I mean, are you doing that up here, or are you actually doing that down?
No. So I'm still based in Manchester. I'm a new trustee. I started in February, right? Officially with Apples and Snakes. So yeah, I'm still doing it from Manchester, which is great because of technology. But at some point, I'll get the chance to jump on the train and go and meet my fellow trustees and staff at Apples and Snakes. Yeah.
Are they? Do they just work in the London area?
No. They work nationally. They work right across the UK. They do lots of kind of partnership work with some of the biggest poetry organisations or cultural organisations up and down the country. So yeah.
It'd be good to. I'd be interested to be linked up, mate. If they're interested in any collaborations or partnership projects with Manx Spirit in Greater Manchester,
I'm sure there will be, definitely.
Well, mate, give us a shout. We'll always work with everyone. Do you know what I mean? That's what we're about. It's about providing a platform for everybody else.
It's whether they'll work with us. It's the two old blokes. What do they know about anything?
No, they'll definitely be up for that, because a big part of, again, why they approached me to be on the board is around that northern influence, that they're mindful that, unfortunately, because London's the capital city, that's where all the noise is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where the talent's coming through. So yeah, a big part of my work is about basically letting them know London's not the only place that's doing it.
Do you know what, mate? I think you get to a certain age, but I mean, London's it's its own country, and it is what it is, and it does what it does, and people get caught up in this. I mean, I lived through the 80s, mate, so I lived through Thatcher, as did Damo, and when people talk about north-south divides, there was a north-south divide then, and there still is a bit now, I think. But when people go on about it, you just think, well, let's just concentrate on making Manchester as good as we can possibly make Manchester, because it's far from perfect.
Yeah, totally. But again, we're not here to compete with anyone. Do you know what I mean? I think it's for us just about same as it ever was. We do what we do, and those who appreciate
do it really well.
And those who don't, no worries.
It's I mean, I know you did the stream, United We Stream thing, didn't you?
Yes, Our City Speaks. Yeah.
How was that? How did that work out for you? What kind of feedback did you get from being on there?
You know what? We've had some really, really good feedback from, lots of the audience, which was really interesting, exciting to see. It's an audience that isn't there usually for poetry. And a lot of people logged on because they'd seen the stuff that United We Stream had done with, the Hacienda DJs and your Dave Haslam type lot. And again, it just happened to be on, so like, right, I've seen the other United We Stream shows, let me see what's happening here. And a lot of people said, that's not what I think, that's not what I imagine when I think of poetry. So it kind of broke a lot of people's misconceptions about what poetry is and what poetry can be, just because the sheer diversity of the people that we had on the lineup and on the bill.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think, on a personal level, performing and hosting was an absolute pleasure. And the feedback,
did a great job,
really
mate.
Positive. The feedback I've had has been really positive, and I've had a few bookings off the back of it. So yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, we're part of, as Manx Spirit, we're one of the 30, along with Contact, one of the 35 organisations that are in the GM culture portfolio.
Yep.
So in terms of, Stream GM, United with Stream don't want anything to do with us when we've suggested stuff.
We asked them, they said no.
No, because listen again. We're old farts, and it's kind of like, the hacienda. All right, move on. Let's do.
Yeah.
And the only, and I was supportive of it, and I shared it because I could see what they're doing and everything else. But the only thing that there was a couple of things I tuned in for specifically, and your event was definitely one of because I like spoken word, and I wanted to see who else was out there. Dave was on it.
Yeah,
he's a good mate of mine.
He smashed it. Yeah.
Oh, he absolutely smashed it.
His videos from that, the numbers they're getting there, man. He smashed it. He really smashed it.
Yeah, I mean, they all did. I got in touch with, I can't remember his name now, the American guy, or is he Canadian?
He's not American. He's Jamaican. You talk about Damani.
Damani, is he Jamaican?
He's actually Jamaican. So this is the misconception. So Damani is Jamaican. He's actually Jamaican. And he's been in the UK since he was 7 or 8. Yeah, but he's from Jamaica. But
right.
What's really interesting is that we think of Jamaican accents, and we think of Sebastian from from The Little Mermaid, and that's the accent. And if it's not that, we don't get it. But no, he's Jamaican. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because I dropped him. I dropped him a line. I don't normally do that. I don't want I'm not like a fanboy. And it was like, yeah, mate, you're good. And he was like, yeah, no.
that's definitely the vibe.
And I thought, I like you.
That was brilliant.
So, I mean, the idea behind that Great Manc Pod in terms of a podcast is Greater Manchester's community podcast, and we set it up with a little bit of funding from the National Lottery to promote across Greater Manchester community groups, charities, people doing really good stuff in the communities that don't necessarily shout about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And as part of that was also about supporting creatives, because that's everything that we do at Manc Made. That's what's that about. We got Manc Made Productions, and we do the podcasts and stuff. So we approached Carlin because they've got a Made Local community fund, which actually does really good stuff in the community. And we basically said, for the creatives that are out there, and I'm thinking, musicians, spoken word, that's who were gigging in pubs, clubs, open mics, obviously not been able to. So let's try and do something that's a bit more lo-fi than United with Stream, seeing as they won't let us use the platform. And let's go out to people and just, have a chat and, just get them to perform the stuff, really. And hopefully, like I keep saying, we're not Sky. We've got, in terms of online, we've got a really good engagement across all the platforms that we've got. And Great Manc Pod, we were 55 in the iTunes charts last week. So we're really, and that's, that relationship is allowing us to bump it. So hopefully more people will listen to what you're doing. And even if it's not the actual performance, a lot of the people we're speaking to are involved in other things. And you listen, mate, you know better than I. You never know what's going to come out of it.
Absolutely.
So that's the idea of it. I mean, were you doing a lot of open mic?
I was doing lots of live performances, I'd say, prior to kind of the pandemic striking. And I think a lot of artists can kind of feel the same in that. Again, we all had projects that were due to come out, whether that's new EPs, whether that's, publications, whether that's just brand new material to perform and showcase. And then it was like, right, you can't do that anymore unless you've got really good internet. And
we all found that out really quickly.
Exactly. And you're up for being sat in your loft, you know what I mean, and doing it there. No, but everything changed overnight. So I'd say for me, it's been a challenge in that way, but it's actually been refreshing because, and it's what I've been talking about with a lot of artists, is sometimes you don't get the chance to take stock of what do you want to do next creatively or projects wise, because you're in the thick of it. And, if you've got bookings coming in, or if you're a poet and you're working in schools and getting workshops and stuff, you don't think, what can I do to enhance my artwork? What can I do next? Or even have, a period of time where I've got 2 or 3 evenings a week to sit and write poetry. That's like unheard of in my creative career. That is unheard of because
it's unheard of. Most people's lives, people got busy lives.
This is it.
And you got to find time to be creative.
Absolutely. So I think in that way, it slowed everyone down. But as a result of it, it's also made us appreciate how precious the art form is.
Yeah.
I think that's the case for a lot of people, that you don't miss the thing until you're able to get on stage and perform.
Have you written quite a bit of stuff during lockdown? Because
I've written loads. Yeah. So what I did, I took the opportunity. I put a funding bid in myself to the Arts Council.
Oh, good lad.
The Arts Council. Because again, I've been writing and performing for well over 10 years now.
Yeah.
But I've not got a collection of poetry yet. I've got an EP out there. I've got singles out there. I've got stuff I do with my music. But as an actual poet, I've not got a collection out yet. And I was like, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
So, and again, before the pandemic, I wouldn't have said, let me put a bid in and sit down and spend some time to write a book, because I was busy with bookings and workshops and doing what you do. And sometimes when things are going fine, you don't. And again, I'll speak for me. Let me not speak for anyone else. Sometimes you lose a bit of ambition because everything's going fine and you don't think about what's next. So when the pandemic kind of started, I was like, you know what? I'm finding myself writing a lot more simply because I've got the time to do it. Let's kind of consolidate that and spend a bit of time on putting together a collection. So yeah, I've been working on my collection.
If you don't mind me asking, were you successful in that bid?
I was successful. Yeah, I was successful.
Great
I've
news,
got some funding, got some really good, some really great support from the Arts Council.
Right.
And I've got a great mentor on board. I'm going to be working with Roger Robinson, who is a fantastic poet. Look, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He's a T.S. Eliot award winner, Forward Literature Prize winner. He's a fellow of the Royal Society of Literature.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing poet, spectacular poet, and a really nice guy as well. So he's mentoring me and kind of giving me some workshops on the poems that I'm putting together. And in October, I'm going to do a sharing at Contact for a live audience. So yeah, that's all.
Wow. Yeah. Right. Okay. So that's booked in then, October.
Is yeah. I've not got a date confirmed, but it's going to be in October. Yeah.
So you've used your contacts at Contact.
Exactly. Exactly that.
To be honest, mate, I was hoping you'd say that. I've had that written down here. Contact. Tick that one off now.
Reece, could I just ask, actually, it's a bit of a sigh. I mean, obviously, I've been working in the community sector a long time, and I spent, and your name's come up a few times. Like there's probably about 30 people in Manchester that the names come up a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What community, apart from doing the trustee stuff, what community-based projects have you been involved in that you're proud of?
I've worked on loads, so a lot of people who know me will know me through my work with Young Identity. So if you don't know Young Identity, it's a fantastic charity that's dedicated to advancing poetry and love and appreciation of poetry amongst young people in Manchester. Yeah. So I started off as a member of Young Identity back in 2007. So I started off as a participant. Started volunteering with the project and then kind of got into bits of mentoring and doing workshops. Eventually became a big part of the behind the scenes team, really. So helping to raise funding, helping to deliver the project itself. So a lot of people that know my work associate me with that. Kind of something that was a part of Young Identity was the Wordsmith Award. So we'd go into school and deliver slam-based poetry in schools. So often in some of the most deprived areas, we go and work with young people and kind of empower them and help them find their voice. And on top of that, I've done lots of work with Contact on a project in particular called The Agency, which is based in Moston and Harper Hay. And the agency is all about empowering young people to develop projects that have community change at the heart of it and social change at the
is
heart
that
of
the
it.
one based at Harper Hay Neighbourhood Project?
It is, yes. It's based at the Harper Neighbourhood Project and also based at the Miners. So big shout out to
Louis.
Yeah, big shout out to Lou, the Miners.
Louis over at Miners. I've been doing some consultancy work for the last 2 years to save that Harper Hay Centre. We've just got all the funding for them.
Brilliant.
So that's the cafe's been built, the kitchen's been built, it's been redeveloped. But that's a bid that I did. So once this all sort of reopens, that'll be a fantastic venue for you to extend your projects. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I've worked on that agency project now for coming up to 8 years. It's going to be 8 years soon.
Wow.
7 years. It's going to be 7 years soon. Yeah. So I've been working on that project for a while. So again,
it's really well attended, mate. And there's a lot of the young people in that area that wouldn't have any opportunity, they attend that. And what a fantastic mix of people. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Some of the projects that come out of the project are phenomenal. And I think, you can't underestimate what can be accomplished just when you give young people or the community itself an opportunity to make a change. Like you can't underestimate what can be accomplished just by saying to somebody, what dream do you have for your community?
Yeah.
What do you want to change? And okay, let's go and do it.
Basically, it's that cultural sharing stuff, Reece, that I try and get into a lot of my projects. And the best things to gather people around from all different backgrounds is food, music, and the arts. So
culture.
When you're using stuff like that, all them barriers have just fell down, and people are sharing rather than finding what's in common rather than what's
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's all about, we've said this in everything we've ever done. It's all about opportunities. Just giving people those opportunities, whether they take them up or not. Well, that's down to them.
Totally.
But you never know what's going to come out of it. And there's been some absolute gems just because they've seen somebody. I mean, how many people have seen you perform and go, who've probably gone, I can do better than that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Which is inspiring. Which is inspiring to me, 100%.
Of course it is. I mean, you don't want to create competition for yourself, Reece, at the end of the day, but you know what? I'm sure you are.
The thing is, again, it's really interesting because I think probably more than any other art form, poetry, I don't believe in competition in that way. I think that, I think that anyone that offers, obviously, poetry as their art form is competition in that way. Of course, somebody could book somebody else over me, but my perspective is, as long as somebody's booking somebody, I'm good with that. And as long as every person that is, being platformed is, developing their craft and they're dedicated to the craft and they're working hard as possible to push it forward as an art form, I've got nothing negative to say, man. I'm good with that. And I think likewise, we're only as good as our successors. So I think for me, as a poet, what's really important to me is in 10 years' time, the young people that I've mentored and I've been a part of their journey, for them to surpass me and to be doing amazing things and to be winning awards and them to be household names, that would give me just as much pleasure as it would if, I got to a place where I'm in those conversations.
Can you? I mean, I know it's not always easy to name names, but are there any up and coming talent that you've been involved in that we should know about?
Oh, there's loads, man. There's loads. In Manchester alone, and let alone going to kind of your Londons and your Birminghams. Manchester's got some fantastic poets coming through.
Yeah.
Jado Rodriguez, he was part of the Our City Speaks event. He's a fantastic poet and a fantastic MC as well. So he raps as well as doing his spoken word and his poetry. He's a fantastic poet. Another poet called Ella Otamewo. She's originally from Birmingham, but we've adopted her as a Manc now because she's been here for 5 years for kind of university and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, she's a fantastic poet. Isaiah Hull, a lot of people have heard of him. He's an amazing poet. I think for me, probably the most unique voice in poetry in the UK, and that's a big claim. But if you read his collection of poetry, he's got a book called Nosebleeds that came out in 2019. If you read that collection, you'll see why I say that he's such a unique talent. He's 22 now, Isaiah. Yeah, so he's still young.
That talented at 22. Oh.
Yeah. Exactly. To be that talented at 22 is something else. There's loads. There's a poet called Ali Al Jamri, who's again based in Manchester. He's of Bahraini heritage. He's doing fantastic work, really multilingual work. I envy him because he's able to write really well in a number of languages. So shout him out. Roma Havers, again, fantastic poet. Again, she came from Reading. That's originally where she's from.
Yeah, they all come from somewhere, don't they? I mean, it seems to
at this day. That's the big thing is at this day.
They're drawn to Manchester. I don't. It's not the weather.
No, it's really not.
It's
really not. Saf El Sanossi, again, Saf's a poet of Kenyan and Sudanese heritage. Fantastic poet. He's been supported by MIF at the minute, so he's developing some music as well. So he's a bit similar to Jardel in that, again, he's got a few strings to his bow. He was a finalist for the Words First project, which was the BBC Radio 1 Extra and the BBC Asian Network event that kind of, it's a talent search for kind of the best young up and coming poets from up and down the country. So Jardel was part of that. He was in was a finalist, as was Saf. And then also the previous year, Esther Kosh, again, who's a Salfordian. So yeah, there's so many amazing poets coming through. We need a whole podcast just for me to shout out the people who I think are doing
Mate,
amazing.
it's encouraging. I can hear the excitement in your voice. You know what I mean? That you're at, something that you take a lot of pride in is suddenly. We were saying this only yesterday to someone else about like Biden's inauguration. That girl was absolutely
Amanda Gorman.
Yeah, she was nice.
And you got Dave the poet, and you've got this. It seems to be spoken word seems to be coming to the fore a lot more. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think I tweeted something the other day, and it got me thinking, because what's really exciting is that I'm seeing that diversity of voices coming through.
Yeah.
So, and again, this is not a Manchester context. This is more of a national context. So you've got people like Caleb Femi, who released a collection of poetry called Poor, which has won all these awards. And I think for me, he's probably the most beautiful debut collection of poetry I've ever read.
Who's that again? Sorry,
Caleb Femi. And his collection is spectacular. And again, he's published by Penguin, which, historically at least, that's obviously such a powerful press. And to see them take the voice of, young Black London and showcase it in that kind of way is really exciting. And you've got your Yomi Sode, Yomi Greeds, who again, he's just announced this week that he's got a collection coming out with Penguin as well. That's going to come out early next year.
I don't know I should imagine they've been in touch with you, but do you know that Harper North have opened up?
Yes, yeah, they do. Yeah, so I've come across them. Yeah, they're part of the partnership network of Manchester City of Literature. So yeah, I've had the chance to have a chat with their team. They're lovely guys. They're really, really nice people.
Well, when they moved in, they got in touch, and I did I was obviously pushing them as much as I could, and I love the fact because listen, I'm a little bit cynical. I'm a mank. What can I say?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, no, it's about Northern Voices and blah. So it was like, okay, so we had a chat, and it was like, right, yeah, no, you're really doing this.
Yeah,
you're really doing it, and you're setting up in Manchester. And now, I did ask them at the time. I said, "Are you looking for spoken word poetry?"
Yeah.
And they were. And this was a little while back. They weren't at the time because they, it's a commercial thing, so they were looking for. I think it was fiction and stuff and stuff, but
children's fiction and stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. But it is something that they're going to look at. And I said, well, I tell you what, you're not going to be short of
you're in the right place
people in this place. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but what I think for me, and it's funny, I tweeted it the other day, which kind of wrapped up my thoughts. I think that we're approaching a point in kind of British culture where our kids in playgrounds are going to be talking about their favorite poems and favorite poetry collections in the same breath as they're talking about, who do you support? Are you a red or are you a blue? You know what I mean? Well, I prefer Keisha Thompson's poetry. I'm a fan of Isaiah Hull's. I'm a big fan of Shirley May's work. You know what I mean? I think we're a lot closer to that stage than I think any time I felt in my career, or as a writer, or as someone who reads poetry and kind of consumes it as an audience member.
Well, listen, I mean, I probably got. I mean, I never thought not that many years ago that I'd say, "Oh, my favorite spoken word artist is my favorite poet is," or whatever.
Yeah.
But, I got switched onto it probably with Dave.
Yeah.
When he first kicked off to it, and he's got that piece that my nana calls me cock.
Yes, yeah.
Which for men, for bloke, not for men, for people of a certain age from this part, you recognise that term. But I've played that, and I've got 3 boys, and I've had my youngest kind of sat near me, and it's like my nana calls me cock, and you can see his eyes go like his eyes like, oh, and he go, what? And you have to spend the next 10 minutes going, no, it's a term of endearment, son.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing really, that particular piece really resonated with me.
It breaks down those boundaries, doesn't it? Because, and again, I'm not having a jab at the education system. Well, I am, but not.
Yeah, should do.
Go for it, Reece. We do it all the time, mate.
The thing is, if you, from the ages of say we start reading poetry at 12 in terms of high school when it's serious, from the ages of 12 to 16. You put poetry that, broadly speaking, is inaccessible in front of young people. By the time they get to 16, they despise the stuff because they've had to learn about iambic pentameter. They've had to learn about quatrains and terza and stanzas and all this really technical stuff, which absolutely is essential to the craft of poetry. But the technicality has come before the love. Yeah. And so there's very few people that leave high school like, oh my God, poetry is my favorite. When have you ever heard someone say, I'm looking forward to doing my poetry exam? You've never heard anybody say that. But But I think we're getting better with that, because if you look at the poets that are on the curriculum now, you've got your Jacob Samler Rosses on there, you've got your Imtiaz Darkers on there, you've got, your Joel Taylors, etc. You're getting a lot more diversity in kind of what is poetry. But I think that, there's so much more work to do with that in terms of changing that perception. And that's why people like Dave are worth their weight in gold as kind of ambassadors of the art form, because the average kid, they think of poetry straight away, they think of Shakespeare. And again, I'm not knocking Shakespeare. I think Shakespeare's amazing. I think Shakespeare is a pioneer, is revolutionary, etc. But is he accessible? Probably not to, you know what I mean?
Is the art's accessible, mate? We have this conversation all the time. You know, is the art's accessible? No, it's not.
Yep.
You know, all the furore about, and a lot of people in the arts and culture have been treated, terribly. But when
absolutely,
people were talking about theatres, and and people weren't queuing round the block to say theatres. Why? Because they don't mean anything to them.
That's it. It's funny. I tell this story as often as I can get the chance. I remember one of my earliest performances with Young Identity. We performed at the town hall for this swanky function.
Yeah,
we've got up and we've performed our words. And, you felt dead proud, and you get your round of applause, and you feel good. And I remember coming off stage, and we're speaking to some of the attendees at the event, and somebody asked, did you write that yourself? And like the tone of like patronization in it, it just like poured water over that energy you felt of performing a poem. And I think it really speaks to that elitism and that often snobbery that exists in the arts, that, you can see someone
jealousy, mate,
a poem, and you can ask them, did you write it, or where did you find it? And, I was so tempted to say, I found it in a Christmas cracker. Do you know what I mean? Or it was, Lem Sissay left it lying around, so I nicked it off him. Do you know what I mean? But no, there's that, there's still that snobbery, but I think we're breaking that down. We're definitely breaking that down.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing an amazing job yourself doing that, mate, as is Dave, as is Dave Viney, as is, everyone.
Lem Sissay, Keisha Thompson, Shirley May. There's so many people that are doing it and dedicated to that work, yeah.
Can you do some stuff for us?
You want a poem?
Of course we do.
Sure. Absolutely. So I'm going to read a new poem for you guys. Give me a second. I'll dig a new one up.
Exclusive.
Yeah, you can get an exclusive.
Reece, what we'll do, we'll go on mute when you read it, mate, so it gets better quality on the recording.
No worries. Give us a second. I will dig it up. So like I said, I'm working on a collection of poetry at the moment. And the kind of working title for the collection is This Kind of Black. And it kind of explores a number of things. So it's that element of being, a black male from Manchester, of Caribbean heritage, but again, of mixed heritage. And it's speaking to that misconception that there's a singular black identity, that, if you're black, you must listen to hip hop. If you're black, you must be into this and you must be into that.
Yeah.
And it's trying to pin down what are some of those nuances of being black in a context we've not heard before, in that northern voice, in that,
mate, you've chosen an easy subject there, haven't you?
so many different life experiences that kind of feed into that. So I'm going to read a poem from there.
It's really important that you're actually doing that, Reece, and I'll say, because I've done a lot of work around Moss, I've done a lot of work around Moston and stuff like that, and it is that generalism, that these communities within communities within communities, and if you don't actually dig down and go and actually talk to people and ask them what their beliefs, what things are important to them, you'll never find out. Do you know what I mean?
You really won't.
Just going in thinking, I'm a missionary and I know everything. Do you know what I mean?
100%. So I'm going to read this poem for you guys. And the title for this poem is There Are Symptoms That We Have Learned to Live With. And the poem is about poverty. And again, Marcus Rashford's doing some fantastic work about poverty. And some of the work he's doing and some of the conversations I've been having with friends kind of led me to think about what is poverty and what does poverty look like, because aside from the people that, Rashford's helping and the campaigns are helping, there are people that experience what I call functional poverty. And kind of reflecting on my upbringing, I'd say we definitely we lived functional poverty. And I wrote a poem about it. It's called There Are Symptoms That We Have Learned to Live With. There are symptoms we have learned to live with, because poverty is a tax on your free time. It is a Saturday morning sleep ride with your grandma on the 53 to Dickey Road Market, because poverty is one or the other. One being free chickens for £10, and the other being no chicken at all, because surviving poverty is opportunism. My other nana was a horologist, versed in the hours of yellow sticker reductions, because poverty is a well-lived routine. It is the muscle memory of eating economy-branded crisps with hands concealing the evidence, because poverty is a playground punchline. It's the one about your mum being so broke, she bought a Big Mac on tick, because poverty is microeconomics. It is to choose bottles of black grape instead of cans, always, because poverty knows an open can cannot be saved for later, and you have to make good things stretch, because poverty sets like lactic acid. It is Nike trainers and Helly Hansen coats, copped with dad's drug money, because poverty is complicated like that. It is always having enough for tithes, the tenfold division of 0 equaling 1, because poverty offers its first fruits to God. It is the cabinet of unused glassware gathering dust unto itself in a dining room, because this kind of poverty hides this kind of poverty. It is the habit of not asking, the forensic interrogation of need and pride, because poverty is suffering with a guilt complex. There you go.
Wow, great piece, mate.
So yeah, that's one of my newer poems.
Yeah, that hits home.
So that's the collection's kind of about that. It's exactly that. It's those gaps. It's those intersections. Is where things meet and where sometimes things are not spoken about enough.
Well, it's them barriers. It's the invisible barriers. Some are obvious, and people talk about them all the time. And how many projects do we? Oh, we've come in to do this survey because of this barrier, that barrier. It's like, you're talking shite. It's the economic prison. It's the fact that people don't have the opportunity to move out of the area.
That's it.
There's no walls.
That's it.
But there is, really. If you come out of there, then you'll get judged. I mean, I picked up there the habit of not asking and the muscle memory. It's drilled into you that hard that you don't feel worthy in the future. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many, we think about wealth and finance, and there's all these platitudes that we hear, which is, money can't buy happiness. And people say things like money can't buy happiness as a way of saying, well, it doesn't matter that you're poor, because even if you was rich, you wouldn't know what to do with it. And it's like, that's an excuse for how capitalism works, that it doesn't matter that somebody and some people in this world have enough money, that if they never worked together a day in their life, and their children's children never worked a day in their life, they'd still live the most comfortable life known to man. It doesn't matter that you who does 3 jobs and, and there's a line in there at the beginning where I say it's a tax on your time, because I was thinking about, again, my gran and my mum, doing their jobs. My gran would get free buses to get to one job that pays, probably not particularly well, but she'd get 3 buses to go to work. So any opportunity to upskill or to go and do a course, who's got time for that if you've traveled an hour and a half to go and work? And that's poverty for you. That's exactly what it is. It's those lack of opportunities, and it's that tax on your time.
And you're tired. And people, me and Paul have grown up in very similar areas as you, Reece, and it's like, I say now, growing up in Clayton, nobody around me had fuck all. Right. So we had nothing to compare it against, because I went to school in Gorton, I hung around with lads from Moston and Openshaw, and none of us had anything. So, there was nothing to compare at all. As you grow up and you start moving out of them areas, you go, hang on a minute, why wasn't I given that chance?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be saying we were pretty much struggling. We were like most people back in, when I was growing up, but I mean, we certainly didn't have any luxuries. But I mean, personally, I think it's worse now. Yeah. I mean, it's that phrase, it just absolutely gets me when people say it, the working poor.
Yeah.
And you just think, how does that work then? You work your ass off and you're still not able to support yourself.
It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Crazy.
And it's sad because the poorest people that I know, often the ones that work the hardest.
Absolutely. And they're also working in the economy where, maybe they don't have the, they're working in shitty conditions.
That's it.
Lots of them working in hospital. I mean, all this, the play about hospitality in Manchester. I couldn't, listen, I know quite a few of the people who own places in Manchester, and they're nice people. But do I care that a really big restaurant might go under? No, not really.
No.
Do I care that the people working in that restaurant might lose their jobs to do?
100%.
Do I think that when hospitality opens, the first thing that a lot of these places will do, and there's some really good ones, but a lot of the ones that aren't so good will do is turn around and say, you know what, we're not going to pay you minimum wage. We're going to pay you a better wage, and we're not going to put you on. Just give you a buzz when we want you to come in and work for us.
0-hour contracts and all that nonsense.
They won't do it.
Because that's not how business works, unfortunately.
No. Well, listen, that's for another day, innit? I mean, they can make changes. It's just another excuse to say, well, we've all really, and I'm not just picking on them, but a lot of the lower paying jobs are in that industry. There's no two ways about it.
Absolutely. But again,
that's why people didn't feel a really big. I don't think a lot of people weren't. Oh, I can't go into Manchester and have my 5-course meal. Right? That wasn't even in my reasoning. What have I missed about the city centre?
Yeah,
not a lot.
Very little. Very little.
Yeah.
The things you've missed is going to a concert, innit? The things you've missed is the culture part of it.
Yeah.
I've missed
just going having a coffee and talking to people. Meeting up with Paul, our kid. Vine, whatever, and talk about projects and what you're doing, and just having a coffee and just saying that, or having a pint and saying that, mate. That's what I miss.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the charity world. What we miss is being able to go out and when we're looking to build. I mean, everything's over Zoom. You can only achieve so much over Zoom. You need to be especially when you're trying to get money off people. You need to be in a room with them, and you need to look them in the eye and say, right, this is what we're doing. Can you support us? Yes or no? And you know pretty much pretty quickly whether or not that's going to happen, don't you? And then you can just say, right, okay, see you, and move on to the next one. But hopefully that'll change. But listen, Reece, I'd love you to, if you can, I'd love you to do more stuff, because I want to try and fit these, and it doesn't all have to be the new stuff either. Obviously, don't.
Sure. Sure, man. I've got.
I like your work. The great thing for us is everyone says, "Oh, there's no live performances anymore. There's no theatre." Me and him go, "We do it every day." So it's purely selfish, mate. I'm not gonna, because I like your stuff. So not gonna.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. So then, I will read a few more poems for you guys. So this one is called "Cut," and it's about my relationship with the barber, which is funny to say as somebody who has no hair these days. But I'll read it and maybe I'll chat a little bit about it afterwards. So this is a poem dedicated to Calvin Paul Hilton, who's my first ever barber. Part 1. He held still growing crown beneath one hand of arched fingers, like a claw crane clasping a teddy in an arcade, and cut away almost 14 months of Samson. I'm told I never flinched, never cut across the barbershop chatter with a cry, never forced my go-to father to bury the newest diamond of his eye into the chair. 2. The summer my mother cut my pocket money on account of me turning 16. I find myself here at least once a week. These cuts will wear your hairline redundant, she warns. But this church offers testosterone and reggae-fied Celine Dion, the safest place I could cut through the estate to when I heard my friend had died. A £5 trim. The summer I learnt to appreciate bargains. 3. The week before my 29th birthday, I told him to cut it all, to induct me into Team Malteser. I mirror watch him shaking his head. A 3-year winter had cut a cul-de-sac of my hairline, amongst other cuts made in the austerity I survived. When he is finished and I am brushed clean, I tell Paul it's his best haircut to date. And I mean it. Go. Yeah.
I love that. Team Malteser.
So
where were you born in Manchester?
I was born at St. Mary's. So spent my childhood between Cheltenham and Moss Side. That's kind of the majority of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I'm based up in North Manchester. I live in Crumpsall these days. So yeah.
Crumpsall, yeah, I know it well. Yeah, spent a fair bit of time in Crumpsall.
In that posh realm there now, isn't that the new Islington?
It's totally posh, yeah, really posh, man. Really, really posh. Coffee shops and everything.
Yeah, street cafes. It's a weird place, Crumpsall, because
it's not a cafe, it's a coffee shop.
There's some massive, massive houses up there. Because I think a lot of people, when they had the money back in the day, lived around Crumpsall. Yeah, there's a lot of big houses around there, isn't there? It's a weird one.
That's the same with Longside and Moss Side and stuff like that. That was the posh area with the big houses. And then when they couldn't afford them anymore, they split them all up into bedsits, you know, and that was the cycle. It's coming round again now. The property prices around there are going through the roof. You know what I mean? That's why Nello James suddenly become very, they wanted the land.
That's it.
Yeah, that's going on all over, isn't it?
It is. You want another one? Will be one more for you guys?
Yeah, love to, mate.
All right. So this next one is called 12 Rounds with Pops. And it's about my dad who passed away. But it's about our relationship with boxing. So he kind of got me into boxing. So my love of boxing comes from my dad.
You box?
And it's I do bits and pieces. I train. I don't compete, but I train.
Right.
I was trained before the pandemic, and we were able to get to gyms and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess it's just it's an important part of my life. I love to watch boxing. I love to train when I get the chance and stuff. But it's about our relationship and some of the words that he shared when we trained together. So 12 Round with Pops. And it's a series of haikus. So it's 12 haikus reflecting on my relationship with dad. 12 Rounds with Pops. 1. Most men try boxing, take a shot, put down their gloves, and learn the guitar. 2. You shouldn't explode with every punch you throw. Save gas for later. 3. Forget what you've seen Mike Tyson do on TV. You're not that bad. Yet. 4. Make the whole core strong. Abs are the lick, but don't skip sit-ups for the soul. 5. Back against the ropes is not your chin on the floor. Hit, hold. Hit and hold. 6. This kind of science will not be second nature on the first attempt. 7. Now you're getting it, but shake the complacency. Bang. Sucker punch to guts. 8. A fighter thinks of their next punch, but a boxer sees combinations. 9. The target to hit stands behind your enemy. Punch through both of them. 10. Championship rounds are won when you fear only your own potential. 11. We don't need towels for sweat, blood, or throwing in. Bad man no watch fierce. 12. When violence was distinct necessity, he championed peace. There you go. Yeah.
Wow, mate. That's amazing. I mean, same here. You know, my love of boxing, although it's not there so much nowadays. But you know, when I was growing up with Tyson and fighting at 3 o'clock in the morning, so you'd stay up. There'd be ding ding round one, bump over, going to bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, my love of boxing was through my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my dad got into it quite early. So obviously growing up in Moss Side and at a time when you had to be handy, you had to be able to look after yourself. He kind of got into it, and it opened lots of doors for him. So he got the chance to meet Muhammad Ali. So he met Muhammad Ali in the late 80s, which was life changing for him because it was his hero.
Where did he meet him?
He met him in Stretford. So I think he was doing a tour.
Oh, he did something at the Stretford Arndale. There's a really nice picture of it. Yeah, he opened up one of the shops in the Stretford Arndale. It's true.
They were opening. It was opening a burger place at one point, and I actually,
Manchester City Centre.
I was in McDonald's on the corner of Oxford Road down there at the bottom, and you walked in and you got to get something. You think, well, who are all these people? What's going on here? He was getting them at McDonald's. Yeah. But he had his entourage. There was about 40 people hanging off him, if you know what I mean, and it was just a bit unnerving. I was thinking, because he wasn't a well man at the time and stuff, and I was thinking, are these like hangers on or are these actually supportive? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So then, my dad, he got into security, and he ended up. This is like a story I love to tell. He ended up becoming Mike Tyson's bodyguard when he was in the UK.
Did he?
So yeah,
I'm sure that was a very easy job.
Yeah, I think it was.
I remember because
easiest day's work ever.
Obviously, some of those stories might have to be kept secret. I remember that, and it is a pretty famous thing when he was staying at the Midland, wasn't he?
That's right.
Nice, yeah, and they were all queuing, and he was like the Queen, when they opened one of the upstairs, and he's out there waving to everyone. That was just. Yeah. Was it Bruno, wasn't it? It was when he was fighting Bruno. He came over, I think. Or did Bruno fight him over there? I can't remember now.
No, Bruno went. So what the story goes is Bruno went to Vegas to fight him.
Yeah.
And the second time they fought in, I believe it was New York, Madison Square Gardens. But what it was when Tyson retired, he started to do the talking circuit, didn't he? So he'd do his public speaking, as it were, and he'd go and. At the time he was doing also refereeing for Cage Rage. So when kind of MMA started to take off in 2005, 2006, he came to the UK as part of that. And that's where my dad, was looking after him and stuff like that. So he was going up and down the country with all these public appearances. I didn't. And the thing that's hilarious was, so my brothers got to meet him. My brothers had breakfast with Mike Tyson. I couldn't make it because I had a GCSE exam on exactly the same morning.
What was the exam? Do you remember?
I feel like saying it was media studies.
Oh, that's not important.
It's not a real qualification.
It's not. But knowing my dad as he was, he would never say to me, "You're missing an exam." If school was important, you know what I mean. You go do your college stuff and whatever. But yeah, my brothers all had breakfast with Mike Tyson. So.
What do you think of the? I think they're getting it on, aren't they? With
Holyfield.
No, I mean Holyfield was my big hero back in the day. Holyfield when he fought Bo, those three fights were some of the most
special,
vicious, toe to toe. It's like watching a Rocky fight.
His fight with Lewis as well, man. His fight with Lewis was something else.
Yeah,
literally, let's just bomb each other, and whoever's standing is the strongest.
But that was proper boxing. Oh God, I really do sound like an old fart now. But
I must admit, Paul, I stayed up for the that Tyson thing they did recently when he come out of retirement and all that. And the best thing on it was Snoop Dogg.
I didn't see the boy stayed up for it.
The Roy Jones Jr. fight, yeah.
Snoop Dogg was brilliant. The rest of it was like, oh my God, what have I stayed up?
The commentary was hilarious. The commentary was hilarious.
Well, I didn't know anything. I just said, what was the best thing about it? And he went Snoop Dogg, and I thought, what have you been watching? I thought you stayed up so much for boxing.
Yeah. So you were going to ask about AJ and Fury.
That was it, AJ, and the Gypsy King.
You know what? Very, very good fight.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe it's as close as a 50-50 fight as possible. I think that lots of people will say, and I think rightfully so, that Tyson is the better boxer. If we're talking about pure skill and the discipline of hitting and not getting hit, I think that Fury's the better boxer. I'm never going to deny that. Do I think it's heavy? Everyone's saying he's going to wipe the floor with AJ. I don't believe that for a second. I think that it's rare that happens in heavyweight boxing anyway in the modern times, because heavyweights these days have to be well-rounded fighters. It's no longer the case that if you're the biggest and you're the strongest that you win.
You don't see a lot of lumps nowadays.
You don't see any lumps now. You've got to be athletic. Even as a heavyweight, you've got to be athletic. You've got to be mobile. You've got to have that agility. I think it's a lot closer fight than people give credit for. And I think that AJ is also a lot better boxer than people give
He's better since he had that scare where he got clipped and you saw him in his eyes thinking, shit, I could go down here. Do you know what I mean?
This is it. I think the biggest thing that could have happened for him, was the loss to Ruiz. That did him the world of good, because sometimes you can box within yourself because you are afraid of losing. Once you've taken away that loss, that actually I've got a one on my record now. I've got a loss on my record. I've done it before. I've lost before. It's not the end of the world. I came back from it. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, I was disappointed in myself. Yeah, it was a bit embarrassing. But I know what it's like to lose now, and I think he's come back with a dedication to the sport that we hadn't seen before. That it's easy, when you're knocking people out and all you have to do is jab them and they're falling over, to not have to work on maybe parts of your game that I'm not the best. And I guess the challenge with Fury is because everything comes so, I'm not saying he doesn't work hard, he does work very hard, but because generally speaking, everything comes naturally to him. Yeah. He's a naturally gifted boxer. him motivating himself for fights can sometimes be a bit of a
But when he went down that time and then he got up, all of a sudden he had a hell of a lot of admiration. Do you know what I mean?
You've got to give him credit for that. You've got to. Nobody takes a right hand flush.
I've never seen anything like that.
And the left hook, it's the little left hook that follows up as he's falling down.
Yeah.
To get up from that was special.
You know what? It's like a lot of analogies for life, isn't it? You do see those people who are really, really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And, I think sometimes it does take you, a few failures to make you appreciate the good things in life, and also not be such an arsehole. No one likes someone who's really good at, really good at something and just doesn't seem to have to work at it.
Yeah, I think that's why probably if and it's strange me saying this as a Mancunian, I'll always support Tyson Fury and want him to do well. But AJ's my guy. If I'm being totally honest with you, AJ's my guy because, again, he's overcome adversity. He's been written off. He's been through experiences in life. Even what not many people know. He only started boxing because he was preparing to go to prison. He was basically living a life and was told,
read that, yeah,
this is going to catch up with you soon, so you better train, you better lift weights, you better be able to defend yourself because when you go prison, you're going to be fresh meat. And, to kind of overcome that, to become an Olympic champion, to become a world champion in, what was it, his 17th fight. Yeah. It's spectacular. And the thing is, and I know this is genuine because I've got a mate, and Joby, I don't know Joby's surname, but anyway, Joby is one of the people he's got in his team who's kind of like a life coach and a mentor. Joby speaks about how positive his mindset is, and his humility really stands out to me. He'll fight with somebody, and afterwards, you can see how he exchanges with that person in the ring. He doesn't do the trash talk. He just says, I'm here to fight. I'm here to do the best that I can possibly do.
Comes across a decent guy, man. Do you know what I mean? He's a decent guy that's hard working.
Yeah, he's the kind of guy you just know if you had dinner with him, you'd have a proper laugh, and it'd just be dead nice. You wouldn't feel like he's a bit up himself, is he?
No. I mean,
I can't say I get the same from Fury, unfortunately. But yeah,
no, I think with Fury, you'd have to be really, really careful. Wouldn't you? Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. What plans have you got for the next few months, then, Reece? I mean, obviously you're looking at October to do this launch.
Yeah, so there's lots of stuff happening. So yeah, I'm looking to do this sharing in October. So that what that will be is a sharing of some of the work I've been working on.
Well, we'll be there.
All being well,
we'll be there.
Yeah, all being nice. When all being well, the collection will get published in spring next year. That's the plan. That's the vision.
Right.
But before then, I've got an EP that I'm working on at the minute. So I also do music, and I kind of work my poetry into music. So I've got an EP called Nostalgia, which I'm going to launch on the 4th of July. And that's going to be the launch of a live event.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say what the platform is, but a significant platform. I'll be launching that.
Oh, it better not be Stream GM.
It's not. I can confirm it's not Stream GM. But, yeah, so I'll be launching the EP there with that, alongside performances from some other fantastic artists. Again, I'm not allowed to say anything. I've been told I've got to shut my mouth for a little bit, which I really find hard to do.
Me too, mate.
I'm working on this one. I can announce. I'm working on a commission for Cartwheel Arts as well. They're based in Rochdale. Right. A fantastic arts organisation that really empowers the community. So I'm going to be working with some young people in Deeplish in Rochdale. Yeah. And I'm going to be writing a poem that's kind of reflecting on their life experiences. That's going to be, the phrase isn't sandblasted, but when they kind of do the reverse graffiti, when you kind of reverse graffiti things onto the pavement. So you get this kind of stenciled and it's water blasted onto the pavement. So a project that's called the Poetry Miles Project. So I'm the commission poet on that, or one of the commission poets on that. So yeah, I'll be doing that. And then some other projects I'm working on with Stone Sustain Theatre up north. So I'm producing a grime theatre piece with an amazing artist called Hypes, a Manchester artist called Manchester Hypes.
Where's that going to be on it?
That's going to be, again, I can't give full details, but hopefully by the time you put this podcast out, I'll be able to say, here's the date, here's the venue.
Well, I'm putting it out this afternoon.
So in that case,
no, I'll be a week or so. But yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah, but that's going to be happening in an outdoor Manchester venue. Yeah.
So this is why I miss not being able to sit in front of people, because normally you just say, "All right, yeah, no, I completely understand that, Reece. Let's just go for a pint." Then you just give a few beers, and after that, he's I'd say everything.
I love it. We're into which has been hilarious recently. 2 or 3 times recently, I've had to sign these NDAs. These little clauses that you're literally, it's getting that serious. So, yeah, it's
it's going in the right way, mate. It's going the right way, innit? And I said, I'm really positive about culture and creatives in Manchester. I think it's never been easier to get yourself out there.
Never. No, I think that pathways are opening up so much more.
Yeah,
easier. Yeah,
and there's a lot of supportive people out there, of which I like to think that we're 2 of them, and generally we say that because I haven't got we do the productions and stuff, but other than that, I haven't got a creative bone in my body, so we live our lives vicariously through other people. And that's fair enough, as long as we're living them. But listen, mate, it's been an absolute.
Sometimes it's the producers that make it happen anyway. So shout out to the producers and the ones that make it happen, basically.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah. Have you ever done any acting, Reece?
Not for a very long time. Bits and pieces. I'm a better poet than I am an actor.
Fair enough. A bit of honesty. You can't beat it, can you?
But just I wanted to ask, actually, do you know your book? You said it's
Yes.
What's it called again?
This kind of black. Yeah.
Did you write that prior to the BLM?
I did,
to
yeah.
George Floyd, or did you write it during? If that makes sense.
Look, the title's been with me for a long time. The title's been with me probably for about 5 years. The title for the collection, it's been with me for a long time. As a side, kind of where the title came from was reading an essay. There's a well-known cultural theorist called Stuart Hall, and he's fantastic. He's a Jamaican academic, or was a Jamaican academic and intellectual, and he's the kind of guy that did wheel out for these public debate shows back in the 80s, early 90s. A big moment happens to do with race in the UK, and they get him out and he'd rip all these right-wing idiots to shreds with his intellectualism. But anyway, I was reading his work for my dissertation at university, and his work blew me away. And he wrote a particular essay that's about that basically breaks apart this idea that there's such thing as a homogenous black culture, that there's such a thing as being singularly black, and this idea of this kind of black came from that, really. So yeah.
No, okay. I was just wondering, actually, if what I was going to say, and you've answered my question that you'd already worked on it. I was just wondering if that whole sort of movement and what was going on at the time, if you were writing before and during, I was just wondering if it had changed what you've written, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
really good questions. I'd say it wouldn't. The George Floyd incident and kind of the emergence of, I say emergence with kind of inverted commas, because this has been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
But the popularity of it, and by that I don't mean people were happy to see it, I mean that it's become viral. It's not new to me in that regard. I don't think it would have changed what I was writing. Maybe it would make more people take what I'm writing more seriously, because I've been writing. I wrote about Tamir Rice. Again, many people don't know who Tamir Rice was. He was a 13-year-old lad in Cleveland, Ohio, that was playing with a toy gun with his sister in the park. Somebody called the police. The police arrived. Within 2 seconds of them getting out of their vehicle, he'd been shot in the stomach and he died. So these elements, I've been writing about this and knowing about this for a long time. I just think that the George Floyd incident makes it more, again, not believable, but it makes it more visible. That's the word.
I just hope that more people will accept that piece when it comes out as an opportunity to educate themselves, if that makes sense. Because what I take, me and Paul were, we were asked, we talked about trustee meetings and things. How could we help? How could we change? Two white 50-year-old blokes. You know what I mean? It's like we felt a bit fake going out there and setting up projects because we've not experienced it. We've experienced it through friends and family members and things like that, but not directly. So it was like, how do we? What do we do? Do you know what I mean? And the big message that I got from it all, and talking to people like Blue and things like that, I said, what can I do to improve things? And she went, just educate yourself. Just learn more and listen. You know what I mean? Listen to people's experiences and actually accept that. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really important that people like yourself are providing this material for people to educate themselves, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, times are changing nowhere near fast enough. I mean, I've said this loads of times. I've got my three boys. I don't ever think, you know, and I'm saying this from the heart, I don't ever think there's ever been an issue of race when they've been talking about, you know, the friends at school, certain situations, sexuality. I mean, it's so, I mean, sometimes you have conversations and I think, am I having this conversation with my 12-year-olds, you know?
Yeah.
Because they do look at life differently. And I think their attitude generally is, listen, as long as he's not a dick.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? I really don't care. And, you know, so it's a really hard situation, I think, for us, because, you know, we've not, I don't know. I mean, I know of situations, but I've not lived that life. So other than, I mean, I put a call out to say, listen, you know, black writers, you know, for the pod play, you know, get in touch, tell me. And I was told, well, no, you should be doing it yourself. And it's like, yeah, but I can't tell a story that I've not lived. I can't, because it's not coming from, it's not coming from the right place. It's not coming from the right place, you know. And so, I mean, that's the call out that I'll put out, and I'll say that to you, Reece. If you're looking to write anything for the, I mean, the pod plays is what we do. One of the podcasts we've got, which is plays that we record and release as podcasts, and we're doing really well with that. So, I mean, I'm always looking for writers, full stop, you know. And and again, this is a difficult situation. I don't want to get into a situation when I say I want black writers. I want to give opportunity to creatives.
A good writer, yeah.
And it's all, and to me, it's all about the story. But you know, I want a mix of stuff that
diversity needs to come through. Yeah,
I think it's what represents. I want what represents Greater Manchester. Now, I mean, I work in the community sector. I've worked in the community sector a long time, and I've put this reach out to the Jewish community, to the Irish community, and it was like all these communities have always been there as long. I'm a proud Manc because I've had access to all these different cultures. You know, I've had such a range of food, music, culture around me as I've grown up, and that's benefited me. So I want to somehow respect that by giving all of those sort of microcosms of one big place, which is our Greater Manchester. We want to give them the opportunity, but we reach out and we go, is there anyone from the Jewish community can come and do some music on here? We never heard anything. No. We reach out and go, is anything, I mean, I don't know if there was like, there might be an art form within a community that I don't know anything about, and I'd love to learn. Do you know what I mean?
I also think the older you get, it's nice to be surprised. It's nice by someone to go, well, did you know this? And you go, no, I never knew that. You know, I mean, it's rarer and rarer, believe me. But listen,
if there's anybody out there, mate, this has got to be specific because it's sponsored by Carl. It's got to be over 25s. Yeah. If there's anybody,
over 25s.
Yeah, this one we will be doing more. Sure. If there's anyone out there you know in Greater Manchester that wants to come on this platform, and the view is, once we're able to, we want to take these out into Carling. We're already talking to Carling about using their venues. So this is musicians, like in the process.
I mean, we know a lot of spoken word artists, and we're speaking to a lot of people. And you know, sometimes because you're something that you really like, you find yourself doing more of it than what you probably could. But I think we've got a really good selection across that. But I'm looking for in terms of young, I want young emerging talent, and so anybody. I mean, you obviously know everybody and anybody. Bearing in mind, it would be this. It's this environment. So, but listen, anyone, put them in our direction, mate. We'd love to come on and have a chat. Thank you very much, mate. Guys, really appreciate it. Really enjoyed it, and I love.
Likewise, guys. Really nice to chat with you, and we'll speak soon. Yeah.
Yeah, nice talking to you, mate. Keep up the good work, brother.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, cheers, Reece.
Take care, man.
Thanks, pal.
Bye.
Bye.